told me. I don't argue, I just detach and disappear. I said, that's a healthy approach. So when she disappeared after a fight, I made sure she had nothing to come back to. Her shock when her tea didn't work was palpable. I, 31 male, should have seen the red flags when Sophia first told me her relationship philosophy 3 months into dating. We were at her place, having just had our first real disagreement about her canceling plans last minute for the 3rd time that month. When I tried to talk about it, she shut down completely. Look, I need you to understand something about me, she said, not even looking up from her phone. I don't argue, I just detach and disappear. That's how I handle conflict. That's not really solving anything, though. She shrugged. It works for me. When things get tense, I remove myself from the situation until I'm ready to deal with it. What about the other person? What about communication? That's their problem to figure out. I protect my peace above everything else. I remember thinking it sounded like emotional manipulation dressed up as self-care, but I let it go. That's a healthy approach, I said, not believing it for a second. She smiled, satisfied. Exactly. I'm glad you understand. Over the next 1.5 years, I learned exactly what detach and disappear meant. Anytime we had a disagreement, no matter how small, Sophia would simply leave. Sometimes for hours, sometimes for days. She'd go completely radio silent. No texts, no calls, wouldn't answer the door if I came by. Then she'd reappear like nothing happened, expecting everything to be normal. The pattern was always the same. 1. Disagreement happens. 2. She announces she's protecting her peace. 3. Disappears for 1 to 3 days. 4. Returns expecting me to pretend nothing happened. 5. If I bring up the original issue, cycle repeats. I tried everything. Couples therapy. She walked out of the first session when the therapist suggested her behavior was avoidant. Communication exercises. She'd participate until any real issue came up, then disappear. Even writing letters to express my feelings resulted in her vanishing for a week because I was violating her boundaries by forcing confrontation. By the time we moved in together, her idea, ironically, I was exhausted. But I loved her, or at least I loved who she was when she wasn't disappearing. The apartment was mine. I'd been renting it for 3 years before she moved in. She paid half the utilities and groceries, but no rent, since she claimed her student loans made it impossible. I later found out she made more than me. The beginning of the end came 6 weeks ago. We'd planned a weekend trip to visit my family. My mom's 60th birthday. Sophia knew about it for 2 months. The morning we were supposed to leave, she announced she wasn't going. I'm just not feeling it, she said, scrolling through Instagram. Not feeling it? It's my mom's birthday. We've had this planned for months. I don't like feeling obligated to do things. It's triggering for me. Triggering? Meeting my family is triggering? She stood up. See, this is why I don't do conflict. You're getting aggressive. I'm not aggressive, I'm disappointed. Can we please talk about this? I need to protect my peace, and she left. Grabbed her purse and walked out. I stood there holding our packed bags like an idiot. I went to my mom's alone, made excuses. Sophia had food poisoning. Everyone pretended to believe it. When I got back Sunday night, she was on the couch watching Netflix. How was the trip, she asked, like she hadn't bailed on a major family event. Are you serious right now? Oh, you're still upset? I thought you'd be over it by now. Sophia, we need to talk about this pattern. I don't do confrontation, remember? If you're going to be like this, I'll just leave again. Something in me snapped, not in an angry way, more like clarity. You know what? You're right, that's a healthy approach. She looked surprised at my sudden agreement. Really? Absolutely. Protecting your peace is important. She smiled and went back to her show. I went to the bedroom and started planning. Here's what people like Sophia don't understand. When you train someone to expect your absence, they learn to live without you. Update 1. I spent the next 2 weeks being the perfect boyfriend. No complaints, no attempts at conversation about issues. Every time something bothered me, I'd just smile and say I was protecting my peace. Sophia loved it. She actually told her friends I'd finally evolved and understood her needs. Meanwhile, I was documenting everything. Screenshots of her Instagram stories showing her out with friends when she was supposedly detaching from our conflicts. Bank statements showing she made $20,000 more than me annually despite claiming poverty. Text threads showing the pattern of her disappearances. I also consulted with a lawyer. Since she wasn't on the lease and hadn't been paying rent, she was technically a month-to-month tenant. I'd need to give her 30 days notice to vacate. Unless, of course, she voluntarily left. The next fight came exactly when I expected. I'd asked her to pick up groceries since I was working late. Came home to an empty fridge and her on the couch. Hey, thought you were grabbing groceries? I didn't feel like it. Okay, but we don't have any food. Why is everything always my responsibility? This is really toxic behavior, Marcus. I just asked. She stood up. I'm not doing this. I need to protect my peace. Of course, take all the time you need. She grabbed her stuff and left. Based on her patterns, she'd be gone for at least 48 hours. Perfect. The second the door closed, I got to work. First, I called my landlord, explained the situation, asked about changing the locks. He said as long as I gave him a copy of the new key, he didn't care. Had a locksmith there within 2 hours. Next, I carefully packed all her belongings. Everything. Clothes, toiletries, her healing crystals, the expensive coffee machine she bought, but I paid for, her meditation cushions, everything. I wasn't petty about it, even included things I'd bought for her. Labeled each box clearly. Took photos of everything for documentation. I rented a climate-controlled storage unit in her name. She'd left her ID and credit card behind as usual. Paid for 1 month. Put all her stuff inside, nice and neat. Then I sent her one text. Take all the time you need to protect your peace. Your belongings are safe at Secure Store Unit 42B. First month is paid. Here's the access code. And I turned off my phone. Update 2. She came back after 3 days, right on schedule. I was watching TV when I heard her key scratching at the lock. Then confusion. More scratching, then knocking. Marcus? My key isn't working. I opened the door. Oh hey, how was your peace protection retreat? What's wrong with the lock? Nothing, I changed it. Her face went through about 5 emotions. You? What? You can't do that. I live here. Do you though? You disappear for days at a time. Don't pay rent. Seem to hate being here. I figured you'd moved out. This is illegal. I'll call the cops. Sure, call them. Explain how you're a tenant who doesn't pay rent, isn't on the lease, and voluntarily leaves for days without notice. I'm sure they'll be super sympathetic. Where's my stuff? Safe in storage. I texted you the details. She pulled out her phone, saw the message. You can't just kick me out. I'm not kicking you out. You left. I just made it permanent. Protecting my peace, you know? This is different. How? You taught me that when someone makes you unhappy, you just detach. No discussion, no compromise. Just protect your peace and leave. I'm following your philosophy. That's not, I need my things. Let me in. Your things are in storage. First month's paid. After that, it's on you. Marcus, please. Let's talk about this. I almost laughed. Now you want to talk? Sorry, I don't do confrontation. This is me protecting my peace. She stood there, mouth opening and closing like a fish. Then the manipulation started. Baby, I'm sorry. I know I've been difficult. Let me in and we can work through this. Nah, I'm good. Where am I supposed to go? Same place you go when you disappear. Your friend Kelsey's? Your sister's? That guy Derek's place you're always at? Her face went white. How do you? Instagram stories are public, Sophia. Every time you detached, you were posting from someone else's place. Usually Derek's. He's just a friend. Cool, then you won't mind staying there. The tears started. You're being cruel. I'm being peaceful. There's a difference, apparently. Update 3. The next 2 weeks were interesting. Sophia went through the entire playbook. Day 1 to 3. Love bombing. Texts about how much she loved me, how sorry she was, how she'd change. Flowers delivered to my work, returned to sender. Showing up at my gym, I switched locations. Even had her mom call me to say I was breaking her daughter's heart. I reminded her mom about the 6 family events Sophia had bailed on. Day 4 to 7. Anger. The texts turned nasty. I was abusive, controlling, a narcissist. She'd sue me. She'd ruin my life. Her dad was a lawyer. He was a tax attorney and wanted nothing to do with this. Posted vague things on social media about surviving abuse. Her friends ate it up until I posted my documentation of her patterns. Day 8 to 10. Bargaining. She'd pay rent. She'd go to therapy. She'd stop disappearing. Could we just talk? Please? Just one conversation? Ironic from someone who refused conversations for 2 years. Day 11 to 14. The Derek revelation. This is where it got good. Apparently Derek's hospitality had conditions. When Sophia showed up needing a place to stay because her abusive ex kicked her out, Derek thought it was his chance. Except, Sophia wasn't interested in him that way. She'd been using his place as her detachment sanctuary, but had no romantic interest. When he made a move, she tried to leave, but had nowhere to go. Her sister was done with her drama. Kelsey had a new roommate who wasn't cool with Sophia crashing anymore. Her parents lived 2 hours away and told her she needed to figure out her own life, so she stayed with Derek, and it was miserable. He wasn't aggressive or anything, just persistent, always trying to comfort her, always there, always wanting to talk about feelings, all the things she'd avoided with me. She texted me, "This is torture. Derek won't leave me alone. Please let me come home." Sounds like you need to detach and protect your peace. She called 17 times that night. I didn't answer once. Final update. It's been 2 months now. Sophia eventually got her shit together, kind of. She rented a studio apartment on the outskirts of town. Had to get a second job to afford it since she'd been living rent-free for so long. Last I heard, she was still doing her detachment thing with her new boyfriend. He lasted 3 weeks before blocking her on everything. The mutual friends were interesting. At first, some bought her abusive ex narrative. But when I calmly explained the situation, showed them texts, the pattern of behavior, how she'd disappear for days, most understood. Especially the ones who dealt with her flaking on plans constantly. My favorite was her best friend Kelsey reaching out. Honestly, I'm kind of glad someone finally didn't enable her. She's been pulling this disappearing act since college. Maybe now she'll learn. She did not learn. Sophia made one last attempt about 3 weeks ago, showed up at my door with a box of my stuff I didn't even know she had. Old t-shirts, a few books, peace offering apparently. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she started. "That's great. Do it somewhere else." "Marcus, please, 5 minutes. Sorry, I don't do confrontations or conversations or really any interaction with you. That's not who you are." "It's who I learned to be, from the master herself. I know I hurt you." "Hurt me? Nah. You taught me that protecting my peace is more important than working through problems, that disappearing is easier than communicating, that other people's feelings don't matter if they inconvenience you. Valuable lessons." "That's not what I meant." "Sure it is. You just didn't expect me to apply them to you." She left the box and walked away. Haven't heard from her since. The thing about people like Sophia is they create their own karma. She taught me that relationships were disposable, that communication was optional, that you could just vanish when things got tough. So I gave her exactly what she'd been asking for. Permanent detachment. My apartment is peaceful now. When I have a problem, I talk about it. When someone has an issue with me, we discuss it like adults. It's amazing how much easier life is when you don't have someone constantly threatening to disappear. Oh, and the storage unit? She never picked up her stuff. It all got auctioned off last month. I heard from the facility that someone got a really nice coffee machine for cheap. Sometimes the best revenge isn't elaborate or complex. Sometimes it's just giving someone exactly what they claimed they wanted, and letting them realize too late that they never expected you to take them seriously. Protect your peace, folks, but maybe try talking first.